A modern university office, sunlight glancing off rows of books and a laptop open to a digital dashboard. Professor Eleanor sits back in her chair, frowning at a student's portfolio filled with podcast links, datasets, a GitHub repository, and a blog post that's gone viral in her community, but not a single published journal article. This doesn't fit the rubric, Professor Eleanor muttered. The screen glowed with the student's impact, an open dataset used in a local climate policy, a software script adopted by 2 NGOs, and a public lecture viewed by 30,000 people. Yet, when she compared it to the university's assessment checklist, it fell short. No peer-reviewed paper, no citation count, no journal impact factor. Professor Eleanor looked out the window, remembering her early career when success was counted in the pages of journals and conference programs. But now, research had transformed, digitized, and democratized. "We're teaching for a world that no longer exists," she whispered.
This doesn't fit the rubric. How on earth does Thomas or anyone expect me to grade this? I need to speak with the dean at once. I have been assessing research outputs of academics for years, but this looks different. If I must use a different lens this time, then I need a totally different diagnosis of my new eye problem, because I can't figure out how anyone's sane thinking. Professor expects me to navigate the troubles that come with a different assessment approach. And I have several international students and colleagues I will be assessing their outputs this year, each coming from a different career, regional, and socio-cultural backgrounds. It still beats my imagination how research assessment using the new metrics can be done equitably and unbiased. You know what they say? You solve one problem, you create more. Let me see Dean and thereafter see Thomas. This new system will bring a whole new problem. Big problem. If we don't do something quick and reasonable.
Dear Eleanor, I have been thinking about these lately, but I am wiser now. The times have changed, and so the way we look at things. Now, to each problem you raised, we already have solutions for every one of them. Let's begin. 1. For the problem of assessing digital scholarship and non-traditional outputs, we have developed frameworks that recognize and reward open science, data sharing, and digital public scholarship. Here, every type of output needs to be recognized. So, Thomas's output has to be assessed. 2. To ensure equity and inclusivity in digital metrics, we have now context-sensitive assessment systems that avoid reinforcing structural inequalities, especially for scholars in Africa, early career researchers, and those publishing in local languages or journals. 3. For validate the use of AI in research assessment, we have maintained human oversight, defined ethical standards, and ensured transparency in how AI tools are used for decision-making. Should I go on? I recalled a conference I attended in June 2025. Someone asked the same set of questions. So, we have implemented all the solutions, and they are working fine. Let me include the remaining solutions so you can reconsider assessing Thomas's work using the new metrics framework. 4. The problem of balancing quantitative and qualitative assessment can be addressed as we've done, by encouraging hybrid models combining qualitative evaluations with responsible metrics. We have started using narrative CVs instead of the traditional CVs in our evaluations. 5. To combat digital misconduct and manipulation, we have built tools and policies for digital integrity checks, version control, and responsible auditing. We have also adapted these tools for all disciplines and currently working on contextualizing them, especially where some metrics may not be applicable. It is huge work, but we are making progress. We have also signed the Advancing Research Assessment Agreement as an institution.
Yes. I also attended the conference. You remember? There was a presentation by several working groups, a symposium, and a whole lot of ideas about how to integrate this and that. But this is a whole new idea, and I can bet with my last penny that there is going to be a steep learning curve for me and maybe for others. Okay, maybe Thomas, who also attended the meeting as a PhD student, knows something that I should know. As an experienced academic assessor and chief editor of 3 reputable journals, I have learned how to accept new thoughts, approaches, and paths as long as they improve the trustworthiness of science. Tomorrow morning, I will meet with Thomas, engage him, and maybe put on a new pair of glasses afterwards. Dean, I totally agree with Dora and the Coalition's new path to reforming the way we assess digital contents in the age of artificial intelligence. But forgive my skepticisms about the practicalities unit I meet with Thomas, and we hold more discussions. Many thanks.
Hello, we have come to the end of the short story. Before you dive in, let's summarize. Key challenges in research assessment reform. 1. Over-reliance on journal metrics. Research evaluations too often lean on narrow journal-based metrics, for example, journal impact factor, which fail to capture the full quality and breadth of scholarly contributions. This dominance of published or perished metrics discourages research quality, interdisciplinarity, and open science, and it undervalues outputs like data, software, or societal impact. 2. Institutional inertia and culture. Universities and funding bodies face internal resistance to change entrenched evaluation practices. A deep-rooted reliance on traditional metrics has created cultural inertia, with some stakeholders hesitant to abandon familiar ranking systems. Even when new policies are introduced, meaningful adoption requires broad buy-in and shifts in academic culture, a challenging process that demands sustained advocacy and education. 4. Infrastructure gaps. There is a lack of supportive infrastructure and tools to implement open and responsible metrics at scale. Existing proprietary databases and evaluation systems are geared toward publications, making it difficult to recognize diverse outputs or track contributions like open data or peer review. Many institutions report a distinct lack of tools and resources to monitor and credit non-traditional research outputs, creating barriers to rewarding a wider range of scholarly work. Now let's listen to the pathway forward and solutions. Professor Eleanor captures all. Let's listen with rapt attention then.
I am Professor Eleanor. I hope you enjoyed that brief animation. Now that we have listed the challenges, I go ahead to list the new paths suggested by Thomas and us. 1. Policy alignment and leadership. We need to align policies across funding agencies, universities, and journals with the principles of Dora and COARA. High-level commitment is growing. For example, hundreds of major universities, funders NIH, RC, and publishers, for example, LF, POHS has signed DOR, pledging to curtail journal metrics and decisions. More so, policymakers should build on this momentum by harmonizing promotion, hiring, and funding criteria. With responsible assessment nations, we need to invest in faculty and reviewer training to shift mindsets towards qualitative holistic assessment. Universities and agencies are beginning to provide guidance and workshops to help evaluators understand new criteria and overcome biases. More so, continuous education and clear communication are essential to demonstrate the benefits of reform, dispel fears, and embed a culture that values quality, collaboration, and openness over simplistic metrics. 2. Diversified assessment frameworks. We need to develop and adopt evaluation frameworks that recognize a broader spectrum of research outputs and impacts. This includes using narrative CVs and multiple criteria, for example, rigor, data sharing, societal impact, instead of relying on one-size metrics. Many institutions now explicitly reward datasets, software, policy briefs, and community engagement alongside publications. Incorporating qualitative peer review and case studies ensures that assessments are fair and capture the true impact of a scholar's work beyond journal prestige. Scholars like Thomas and those whose scholarly works may not fit into the traditional evaluation system can benefit from an all-inclusive assessment approach.
We have now finally come to the end. We must tell you this. This animation was designed using ChatGPT 4.0 human input, the use of animation and other audio software. While we agree with most of what is shown here, you can rely on more authentic information from our web pages on COARA websites and on our social media handles. Beyond these, rely more on the information you receive from this and other similar meetings. Have a great deliberation. On behalf of Francis Crawley, the co-chairs, and the entire COARA-ERIP team, I say a big thank you for listening.